Okay, good evening and welcome to Maseches Taanit Daf Yomi. We're learning Maseches Taanit Daf Yud Gimel, number 13. Unfortunately, I have to tell everybody that Shmuel is currently flying out of Israel to the United States for Hanukkah. He's leaving tonight. So, because of that, we'll have to fill a void with somebody. I'm looking at different possibilities to get the most action, the most fun, the most entertaining sidekick. Call my sidekick to sit next to me during my share. Um, I'm actually looking into someone who's a semi YouTube celebrity. I'm not going to say who. It's possible we'll get him aboard. We're going to work on it. Maybe a special edition for Hanukkah. Daf Yomi. Real YouTube entertainment. You're going to love it. All right, we'll start here from the top of your Gimel, the fourth line. Amar from Bar Papa, Amar of Chista, Kol Shum Mishum Evel, Kigon Tishvav Evel, Asr Bein Mechamim Bein. If you're an Avel, or Tisha B'Av is a day of Avelus for the Beis Hamikdash, so you're not allowed to wash yourself either with hot water, or even with cold water. Kol Shum Mishum Tainug, any day where the restrictions are because of you want to put yourself in a situation where you're mitzdayer, you're making yourself suffer a little bit. You go in tiny sibur, like these tanesim we're talking about for the geshamim, that the geshamim should come down. Bechamin aser besonin mutter. Rav Chisda concludes that you're allowed to wash yourself in cold water. Amar Ravidi Baravin Afanam Tanina. We have a proof to that from the Mishnah. Venolin Asam Merchatzos. You lock the bathhouses. Bathhouses are where they add hot water. So you see, the Mishnah is telling you that uh, you're not allowed to wash with hot water. Why did they? And we'll see in a second. That's the we're saying that hot water you're not, but cold water you are. I'm like Abayi, but Sony also sochanas and aras mi Mishnah. Abayi says maybe it's really the reason it says no lenasamachartos is because it's just a precaution. We don't want people to wash themselves. It happens to be they have hot water there. What are you going to say? You're going to say if cold water was usher, we would tell people to stop up the rivers. You can't really stop up rivers. You build a dam on the tiniest for the Geshamim. It's not really possible. It's just a precaution. It's not really to medactic from here that hot water is usher and cold is mutter. Uh, This is what he meant to ask. It says already you can't wash yourself. Why do you have to add in that you know it's more than just a precaution. The reason the Mishnah went out of its way to say two things, to say that it's asr rachitza, and then to go ahead and say what type of rachitza is asr, is the merchatzos, the hot water. You see, cold water is mutter on the tanios of geshamim. Lema Messiah, I say a proof to Rav Chisda, kol chayve tefillos b'tovlin kedarkan beim Tisha B'av Yom Kippurim. If you're chayve tefillah, azav, mitzora, anida, you have the day that you're supposed to do your tefillah on. So even though normally you're not to wash yourself on Tisha B'av Yom Kippur, you're allowed to be tovel. Tisha B'av Yom Kippur, it's a mitzvah according to one Tana. What do you? According to this Tana, what are you allowed to be tovel? Any lema b'chamin. You'll say it's about hot water. Tefillah b'chamin me'ika is such a thing as being tovel on hot water. Shuvin ninu. You have to heat up the water. You have to put it in a kli and heat it up first. So obviously, it's not talking about hot water. It's not going to be mei mikvah. El lab b'zonin. Must be talking about cold water. You can see only the Tana only allowed you to do it if you have a mitzvah. The mitzvah of tefillah is docha the avera or the isser of rachitza on the fast day. But a regular person wouldn't be allowed to do it. Now, really, are we talking about hot water? Cold water, like Rav Chisda says, is mutter. Hot water, it is talking about Chamei Tveria. It's not necessarily Shuvin because the springs of Tveria, you can be Tovel, it's considered a May Mikvah, and therefore you can be Tovel. And that's what Chai Beit Tfilos are allowed to do. But everybody else could use Sonin. If that's really what it's talking about, say the Seifa of the Bryce. Amar of Chanina Skana Kohanim, Kedayu Beis Elokim Abed Elav Tefillah Pamachas Pashan. He argues on the first Tana. He says that you can't do Chayvei Tfilos, even though you have a mitzvah, you still can't do it on Tisha B'Av. V'yamars Basonin Mutter. if we'll say that we're talking about Chamei Taveri in this brisa, so Yerchatz Besonin, why is he saying if Sonin is really mutter, so why didn't he just the second time just say at least you can wash yourself in cold water? Amar of Papa, Sonin. No, really, it could be talking about Chamei Taveri, but the Tana was talking about a place where there wasn't a lot of cold water, they only had hot water. So that's what the Nidon was, but he would agree that Sonin could be mutter, like Rav Chisda. Amar of Papa, Tashma, Shamru Asr Malacha, La'amru Ela Biyom, Aval Blaila Mutter. When they said that you can't do malacha on these tiny hills for geshamim, it's only during the day. At night, you're allowed to do work. You can't wear shoes. That's only talking about in the city. When you're going traveling on the muddy roads between the cities, you're allowed to mutter. Noel. When you're going on the roads between the cities, you're allowed to wear shoes. Once you get to the city boundaries, you have to take off your shoes. They said you're not allowed to wash yourself. They only said your whole body. But your face and your hands and your feet separately, that would be mutter. Menuda of Avel, and the same halachas would apply by someone who's excommunicated in Avel. My lavakulu. Aren't we talking about all of this? If we're talking about hot water, which says rachitza is kol gufo is asur, but panaviyad raglav is motus. What is that talking about? If it's talking about hot water, panaviyad raglav misharu, is that really motus? Rav Sheish is aval asur lahoshed etzbo b'chamin. Rav Sheish has a conclusive statement that no one seems to argue with. And Avel can't even dip his finger in hot water. So you see, it can't be talking about hot water, it must be talking about cold water. Lab b'tzonin. Are we talking about sonin? And here we're talking about the discrepancies by Taanit geshamim. So you see, sonin is mutter. A sonin is only mutter for paniyad of raglav, but regular, his whole body, not like Rav Chisda, it would be aser. Really, we're talking about hot water. Because when we said the same halachas apply to menuda and avel, that's only talking about the first two halachas, benilas sandal and malacha. But when it comes to washing yourself, then there's a difference between menuda and avel. Menuda and avel is asar even bitzonin. Tanis geshamim would be mutter bitzonin. Tashma, the Amar Rabbi Abba Hakohen, Mishum Yossi Hakohen, Ma'aseh U'Meis Banav Shel Rabbi Yossi ben Rabbi Chanina. An incident happened, and his sons died. The sons of Rabbi Yossi ben Chanina died. Barachas B'Sanon called Shiva, and he was in Avel, and he washed himself. Even in Avelis, he was able to wash his whole body in cold water, called Shiva. Not like Rav Chisda. He says in Avel is Aser B'Sonin. Where it says, there was a different case because he had two avelos, one right after the other, meaning he had one shiva, and then during the shiva, someone else died who required shiva. So therefore, there's more kulas. There's some leniencies. One of the leniencies is if his hair gets he has a lot of hair, he's allowed to use a razor to cut off some of the hair. He's allowed to wash his clothing in water. You're allowed to use a razor, even though there's a kula, it's only with a razor and not with scissors. With water and not with Esther. Here it says natron. I don't know what the heck that is. Chol is sand. Chol is netzer is the liquid detergent. And chol is the powder detergent like the sand. That's the obvious explanation. I don't know. We can say we're still learning 2021. I'm giving you Art Scroll 2021, an Art Scroll 500 AD, whatever. Amar Rava Aval Mutter Lirchotz Besonin Kol Shiva. Amar Rava Aval Mutter Lirchotz Besonin Kol Shiva. Now we're gonna have a discussion of Rava. I was gonna make two statements about Avelos. Right, Rav Chisda said before, and Avel is not Mutter Besonin. Now Rava is gonna discuss. Rava says Aval Mutter Lirchotz Besonin Kol Shiva. Just like when it comes to the 7 days of Shiva, he's allowed to partake of wine and meat, which are pleasurable activities. He's also allowed to wash himself with cold water. Macy vase is true. You can vase on the top. Avia Hanara Rasha. Bulgaria is someone who's a girl who's developed simanim, and she's 12 years old, and she develops simanim, and 6 months have passed, and she's a nara. She's someone who's desperate to get married. She's very old. She's 12 and a half. She has to look good all the time. So even after her father dies, she has to keep her appearance up. A nara, someone who's just 12 years old, she's not necessarily ready to get married. She doesn't have to. She's allowed to benavel herself. What is this Nivel talking about? My lab brachis, aren't we talking about whether you're allowed to take a shower? If we're talking about hot water, and Bulgaria is not Rashad to benavel, she's allowed to use chamin. It's really true. Amar Rav Chisda, Aval Asher, a hosha that's bo b'chamin. Aval can't even dip his finger in hot water. That seems everyone agrees with. Ela Bisoni must be talking about cold water, so she's allowed to wash herself with cold water. So only about Bulgarians, but a regular person is not allowed to wash themselves with cold water, not like Rava. Lo akilchol pirka. So the Nivel here is talking about whether she's allowed to braid her hair or to use eyeshadow. Those are the things she's allowed to do, and not to wash herself. Lem Messiah, lay the hammer of Abba HaKohen, Mishum Rabbi Yossi HaKohen, Maiso, Mesu Banov Shal Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, Rachas Besonin, Kol Shiva. This incident we had, this incident we mentioned before. He washed himself with cold water. All Shiva Amri Hasam V'Shafu Avela of Zakazel. Like we said before, that was a special case where he had Shiva 2 weeks in a row. The Tanya Dakfu Avela of Zakazel, Hich Bitzaro Mekel Batar, he's allowed to cut his hair, to lighten his hair with a razor, he can wash his clothes in water. Amar Pista, just to clarify that, Batar Avlo Misbarayim, with a razor, not a buzzer, not with scissors, but mayim v'lo b'nesser v'chol. Allowed to wash his clothes with water, but not with detergent. V'lo ba'oel, oil, I guess, is softener. Ika Amri Amarava Avel. Okay, so that's the first statement. Rava Ika Amri, a different version of Rava. Amarava Avel Aser b'son kol shiva. The exact opposite. Avel is Aser to wash himself in cold water all 7 days. Ma'ishnami Basar v'yayin. The Gemara asks why Basar v'yayin, which are pleasurable activities, allowed to engage in, but washing himself with cold water he's not. Hasam lefuche pachte hu David. Really, there's a special heter for Basar and Yain because he's very fearful. He might die also, or that something bad might happen to him, a terrible calamity happened to him, that a relative passed away. So therefore, in order we let him, it's a special dispensation. We allow him to partake of wine and meat in order to soothe his fears. But when it comes to washing yourself, it doesn't apply. Lema Messiah, like Bulgaria, she has to look good, and Nara does not. If we're talking about that she's allowed to wash herself with hot water, and Bulgaria, she can't be manavel herself. Can't be talking about it. She's allowed to actually wash herself in hot water. But it's about cold water. So cold water for her, yes, but a Nara or a regular person, it'd be usher for an able to wash herself in cold water, just like the second statement of Rava. Lo, akilcha v'pirkas. Like I said before, no, Nivel is not talking about washing yourself. It's talking about putting on eyeshadow, or lipstick, pirkus, and braiding your hair. Amar Chis is also meres ava aser b'tachbosus kol shiva. From our discussion, we can learn that an avel can't wash his clothes all 7 days. Because again, like we said, it's a pleasurable activity. He can't wash himself all 7 days. What he is allowed to do is wash his hands, face, and feet during the 7 days of cold water. But use cologne or perfume. I feel cold shoe aser, even a little is aser. If he's putting on deodorant, mutter. That's mutter. Slusa the Tanisa, Heichi Madgarinan. Right? We mentioned that you're supposed to mention something special in your davening, anenu, in your tefillah, if you're on the Taanit Sibor for the fast day, for the days of Tainus for the lack of Geshamim. Heichi Madgarinan. Where do you mention it? Adrei Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yitzchak, or Yehuda talked to Rabbi Yitzchak his son, Vidarash, and told him, expounded. Yachid shkibel alav Tainus mispal shal Tainus. A Yachid, Makabal, Tainus, he davens, he mentions the Tainus in the Shemona Esrei, V'hechan Omra. Ben Goel Arofe, he says a new bracha. You're familiar with this. The Shtech Sibur says on our Tainus Sibur, the ones we have on Shvasa B'Tammuz, etc. he would say a bracha between Goel and Rofe, his own bracha. That's what he says to say. Yachil would say on when he's makabel fasting. Maskil or Rav Yitzchak, Yachil kovei bracha la'atzma. A yachid who just takes a tinus yachid, an individual vow to have a tinus. He makes a new bracha. He can make a new bracha. We normally need a seaboard to make a new bracha. Alam Rav Yitzchak b'shomei tefillah. It says he mentions it in the middle of Shemei Tefillah, like we do, like we say Anenu. That's where he mentions it. There's a difference in Yachid and Sibor. This one down the 18 brachas, and the Sibor down 19 brachas. Ma Yachid and my Sibor. What is it referring to this brisa? Ilam Yachid Mamish with Sibor Shliach Sibor. We're talking about Shatinus Yachid, a personal fasting. The question is are we talking about an individual, or are we talking about the Shliach Sibor during Chazaras Hashas? Hani Chatzrei Esrin Va'arba Havu. If he'll say that, so why is Shliach Sibor saying 19? He should say 24, right? It includes the tinios for the Geshamim, where we're going to see you have 24 brachos. Elav, he had 6 brachos. Must be we're talking about, we're not talking about a tinus for a Geshamim, we're talking about a tinus, whether he's makabel, a tinus yachid on himself, a tinus sibur on himself. See, their personal fasting. He's makabel, tinus sibur, a more stringent fast upon himself. It's worthy of being on the seer, but it's Taanit Yachid in the day, and still he prays in his private Shema 19 brachos. Lo, the Gemara says Lo Olam Eimal L'Chad Shliach Sibur. Really, we're talking about a Shliach Sibur, the Kasha L'Chad Shliach Sibur, Esrim Arba Masi, the Gimel Tanios Rishonos, the Leika Esrim Arba. We're talking about the first 3 fast days, right? Once Rosh Chodesh Kislev happens, and there's no rain, there's 3 fast days, those are more makel. Then the Shliach Sibur only prays 19 brachos, not 24. But lo, is this true? Ha Ein Ben Katani. We have a brisa which says no difference between the first 3 and the second 3 of the 13 additional fasts, the more stringent fast. There's no difference. And the middle fast, we know, he says 24. The difference in the first 3 and the middle 3. First ones you could do malacha. The middle 3 you can't do malacha. Halachav dal is shavin. But for regarding the shliach sibur Shmona Esrei, he says 24 brachos. The manager is Tana V'Shayir. Really, there are other differences between the first 3 and the middle 3, but the Tana listed one, but less the other ones out. My Shire, the high Shire. If you're going to say that, you have to list something else. It has to be at least 2 things that he left out. What else did he leave out? That he would leave something else out. Vasu, Vaha, Ein Ben Kasani. It says Ein Ben, which sounds to be Dafka. Like literally, there's no difference. Ella Tana. So the manager El Tana be Suri Kamayri with Philos Lo Mayri. Really, there are other differences, but he's talking about Isurim. So there's a difference in Isra Malacha. There are differences in tefillos. The first 3 you only say 19 brachos, and the second 3 you would say 24 brachos. And then other answers we can say actually the middle 3 tinios he also doesn't say chavdalet brachos, and therefore ain't being the first 3 of the middle 3 because they both don't say chavdalet. Below is true. Brisa says no difference in the middle 3 and the 7 last ones. The only difference is that you cry out with a shofar and you lock the stores, but everything else is shavin. And we know the last 7 for sure have chavdalet brachos. So the middle ones also have to have chavdalet brachos for the shliach sibur. Maybe you say also over here. It mentioned one difference and left, or 2 differences, left the other out. Ein Ben Katani. Ein Ben says Ein Ben. It sounds like there's no other differences. But this brother, where is it? This is really true. Ein Ben Dafka is really exactly what it means. It says Ein Ben. These are the only differences. Shire Teva. It left out another difference in the middle 3 and the last 7. Is the middle 3 you don't bring the Aron Kodesh to the street. The last 7 we're going to see you do bring it to the street. Imishum Teva Lav Shiuru. The Gemara says that's not a real difference that left out. Mili did Sina Kasani, Mili did Hesia Lo Kasani. Things which are public things were not mentioned in the Mishnah. Private things were mentioned. So therefore, both the middle 3 and last 7 have Chav Dalad Brachos, in which case we don't have the answer. Let's say the middle 3 don't have Chav Dalad Brachos. Hope you enjoyed the shir. Tune in tomorrow. Maybe we'll have more details about a guest sidekick for me. It's going to be Sideshow Bob. All right, bye.